Okay, Carja Gaelta Falcha, all war, Rove and Seanach, Ihe Scríbhneoirí and tSléibhe, the Cuds fell in the Gligany Gorma. Some of you would have been here in 2019, the first time we had to go try this event. We had it inside, and we decided after that that we were going to try and develop a programme based on it. And what happened was then COVID happened and everything else happened, and it fell apart as an idea. Then we tried to rekindle it there in January, and we got a few quid from our many COVID grants, and we'll put the programme on the go. Scríbhneoirí at tSléibhe. We had a programme in Irish and a programme in English, and they're now in their second series, and I think we'll have our English speaking programme here this evening, and as you'll see, it's been amazing, and we're going to get a chance to savour some of the local talent here tonight. I think I'm looking at faces here trying to hide, but there's poets everywhere in our midst, and we also have Eamon Malley, and I want to give Eamon a bull of us for coming in. Eamon is a well-known Irish shore, and he has been promoting poetry during the lockdown, and he's been given a platform to people like Siobhan McCallion, who is in our group, who's one of our core leaders in our group, and Siobhan and Eamon will be reading out here this evening. For anybody who don't know, Féil na Gligany Gorma was established in 2017, a local Upper Springfield fella here, and at the time our idea was to try and just do something positive to bring people together in the area. We felt at the time that people's heads were down. We felt that there was a bit of a culture of hopelessness developing in the area, and it was our attempt, a modest attempt, to try and bring people together, and it's been great, and we've developed it from that point on. And we had a year off last year, but we're back now in full swing, and as you know, we're not really in full swing in the sense that we're not in the building, but we're trying our best to observe na rialaha Cofad agus Garfeja. And we'll have some wine over there. You have to make sure you have your own cup. Use that cup with the whole night. And then there's nibbles as well. But anyway, what I want to do before we start here, the first person who's going to speak is Scott McCandry. And I want to ask everyone here, people who are in the group and people who have heard of him, to give Scott a full of us all war, because he's been amazing. Scott has been the facilitator of the group all the way from the Shankill Road, and Scott is going to introduce the group, and he's going to also read out one of his poems, and he's very modest, but he's won all sorts of awards across the country for his poetry. So gonna hill you, will you? Bill a bust, Scott McCandry.
Scott, come on. Watch your cables.
As long as I can't see myself. That's the only one I use one of those things. Move closer than me. Hello everybody. First want to thank Fergal and Gloria Mona for the invitation to be a leader on the, I didn't know what I would call myself on the group. I want to thank all the participants as well for being there every Wednesday night. And special thanks to Oren as well for keeping us right in the tech side of things. Where is he? When he turned up. And it's been a huge honour to lead a workshop since February. I know it's called Find Your Voice at Scríbhneoirí and tSléibhe. Maybe we should have called it Open Your Gob. Because I think that's where it all begins. Because I don't believe that being creative in language is something extra, something life add-on, or for all you millennials out there, an expansion pack. Poetry's something to do anyway. When you're spending time with your family and your friends, having a laugh, telling a yarn, debating even. All that invaluable slobber of life. And being creative in language can be useful, yes. It can allow us to revisit the past and imagine the future. But it isn't. But being a utility isn't its best characteristic. It allows us to meditate on any number of things: philosophical, psychological, political. But as we found in our workshop, the very act of writing itself can be medicine. And we shared our stories, overshared, maybe on one or two occasions. Just looking out, who overshared? Dan overshared. Through memoir, fiction, poetry and song, and even a bit of drama from Ison. And in Fergal's words, we expected a great surge of creativity, and I was chuffed to bits when that started to happen. So our workshop has been the one thing that I look forward to each week for two reasons. Firstly, it's been a small window, albeit a Zoom window, into normality after isolation and anxiety for the past year or so. We've had some laugh and we've made new friends. On a deeper level, it's been rewarding to watch people flourish as artists and to watch them encourage others. I suppose I could say something very flowery here about truth and beauty. But I'll just say this, when we witness someone's life story, our imagination inspiring someone else, we know the real work is being done. So I'm just going to read one poem here. So this poem is addressed to my grandfather, who died when I was young of asbestosis. And I don't think I've ever been able to say the word asbestosis in my life without completely fumbling it. It's a pretty serious subject matter, I suppose. Well, I don't suppose it is. So this poem engages with a book that I used to get out of the library with my granddad when I was wee. And it's called The Giant Devil Dingo by Dick Ruffsey, who's an Aboriginal Australian, and it tells this really weird story that Dan I know would love about this giant devil dingo that gets cut up because it's too bad. So it's an Aboriginal Australian folktale, and I'll read it out now. The first wee bit here is a quote by a guy who eventually did die of asbestosis, which I suppose, if we're not going to be beating about the bush, was something that happened in the late 20th century, which amounted to industrial murder, I suppose. And this guy didn't get too much compensation. Neither did my grandfather. Ragnhild, they made snowballs out of asbestos dust, and we had little fights. Ron Marsh, Glasgow, 2011. We go to the fruit shop to get nectarines for the graveyard, stop off at the big orange Carnegie Library for books, Drummer Hoff or The Giant Devil Dingo for the read in the park. Standing by the bandstand, you cough in your hanky, sometimes snatters, sometimes a polka dot. You'd fold quick and tuck into your coat pocket. We'd be in the graveyard after the fruit shop and the library, before the park, and you'd go, keep off the grass, or the dead will rise from their slumber and slap you. When the boys slay the giant devil dingo, it's butchered by the medicine man. He pulls off its skin easy like a ragnail, creates from its bones, its fat head and kidneys, two tamer, smaller dingoes with nice doggy names who'll howl and howl and howl, whose eyes aren't red, like the dot in your pocket, like the giant devil dingo's eyes.
Who's that?
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Scott. And I suppose anybody who was part of the group has testified that Scott has been amazing, and he's been able to get the best out of the group. And I suppose the first person I wanted to ask up the read is Siobhan McCallion. Siobhan has been the queen of this group. She's been taxing me flat out about it. She's been brilliant. Build up to Siobhan. Come on up, Siobhan.
Hello everybody, I'm absolutely delighted to be here tonight, and Fergal's just asked me to say a few words about what being part of this group has meant for me. And for me, it's been not just finding my voice, but finding myself again. I've had the opportunity to hear the stories of all this amazing group. You've literally poured your soul out every single week, and you've allowed me to hear it, but you've also allowed me to pour my soul out to you. And as a person who has been quite isolated for a long period of time, almost 4 years, and not really being connected with many outside my own family, this has really opened up my world again. And also Mr. Malley allowing me to read for him one day a week has just made me feel like I have something to look forward to. I get up and I literally, my daughter's here tonight with me, and she's a young carer. She does things that other children don't have to do. So it's just unbelievable how my life is actually transformed as a result of this group of people, organised by Fergal, And again, Eamon allowing me to read one poem a week, it's just made me feel alive again. So this is one of the first poems that I've written, and I want to share this one with you all tonight. Go deep. Going beneath the shallows can bring about much fear as one hears the ocean roar. One must plunge to the depths to find the pearl, far beyond the shore. Going deep is never easy, and one can feel that you may drown. The waves can feel ferocious, caught in a riptide as you swim down. Allow yourself to free dive, to explore the depth of your inner emotion. Once you master your breathing, explore the tide of this inner ocean. In order to find the pearl, the queen of gems, deep within your soul, one must dive beneath the surface as the waves above you crash and roll. For the pearl deep within you is worth more than 1,000,000 ships. Inner peace can be found there, despite the hazards as the sea above you rips. Just like pearl formation, you have many layers as you evolve and grow. The soul begins to illuminate a truly iridescent glow. Unique like the natural pearl, you are special and very rare. Allow your inner beauty to be seen, your true self embrace and share. Cora Mailga.
That was fantastic, Jeremy Lamaga. Gurmaga Chavon, the Shinner Roaster Fad. And the next participant that I wanted to ask up is a surprise participant, because he was cajoled to come on board as our tech guy. He's the only person a wee bit worse than me at Zoom, even though he's in charge of our Zoom. But he's Oren the Russell. He's been amazing. He's took part in the group, and after 4 or 5 weeks of doing the Zoom, he then decided to start writing his own poems to be part of it. And he's going to come up tonight and do a quick RD and read a poem of his own. So Oren the Russell in the house. Let's see ya. And just where we waiting on him coming up, Oren was asked to speak at the launch of Phil na Gligany Gorm on Friday, and I had thought, like most of us, he would wing it and just do a bit of bullshitting at the start, but he actually spent all night preparing a speech, and he gave a speech from the DAC, and it's the best speech that we've ever seen. I'll give an hour bill of what's for a speech the other day. Oren.
That's the mate.
Thank you, Fergal Gurmaga. That's an intro sin that was befitting of someone way better than myself anyway, but thank you. Before I say my poem, I suppose I just want to give a wee bit of background into just how good this group was, because I, as Fergal said, was just brought on to do the Zooms, and I used to have the laptop sitting by my side whilst I did my work or did whatever, watched some TV, and literally just by listening and hearing what they had to say off of just out of the background, I went, this is proper special. And I had never been into poetry in my life, and all of a sudden I found myself immersed in it, and I was writing, I was waking up and I was doing poems, and I couldn't find my keys and I was writing a poem about it, and there was all this going on, and yeah, you all know that one, it was a bit of a mad one. So it inspired me to do this out of nowhere. So it was a very special group of people and a very special initiative, and I just am so lucky that I was actually brought on to be a part of this group. So that's down to everyone. It's down to Fergal, it's down to Glorna Mona, it's down to Scott, it's down to every last person that was in that group and sharing their stories and being so honest. So Gurmi Lamayagov and Bula Bosteve Dane. That's why the poem. So this one's called the Hierarchy of Struggle. How do you begin to let yourself feel, to give yourself a break, to not be a machine? How do you begin to treat yourself like others, to let people in, to let yourself recover? How do I say I'm not alright? If asked am I okay, I'll probably say I'm fine. If you ask me once again, I'll probably start to cry. How do I begin to go through what I'm going through without feeling like it's unreasonable not to flow through? I want to begin to address what I'm feeling, to not just be strong, to actually start healing. I find it hard because I feel very blessed. I've got money in my pocket and I'm seldom poorly dressed. Are my problems real problems? I've got food in my plate, and if I need to talk, I know there's a safe space. But how should I react when I'm feeling overwhelmed? Because it feels like I have no right when so much goes so well. So I do find it tough to admit when I'm struggling. I feel like I'm privileged and my problems amount to nothing. I understand that life isn't just point A to point B, but when I see what people struggle with, how can I feel bad for me? Thank you very much.
Not just a pretty face, but my hero, Shinner Doyer fan. Our next reader is a guest reader, and I know he's under pressure to head off. And as Siobhan was saying earlier on, he's been giving her poetry a platform on Twitter, and hopefully he'll be able to give our group a platform or two on Twitter. So I want to ask Eamon Malley to come up and read a poem. That's the road, Eamon.
Stop over this, Michelle.
Kindle siús ba bhhaile ba bhuichastíomh as curó thuirtú Franona chun Dan a Leo. Nuair bhí óg bumaidú gulga ranna feirste I dtír canal agus bhí seannaí sin de bainneam Neddy Frank agus ba gnáadó ahan scéal a thosaid leis na fochla seo. Ní raibh mé riú gan aon scéal ach tá main gan haon scéal, a humming haon scéal. I never was without a story, but had I been without a story, I would have made up a story. And I thought it was a wonderful motto for a lot of journalists. And I normally sign that on any books that I write or any autographs or anything like that. Now, I was born and reared in South Armagh. I ddíreach mo cúi simas dá mo cóta Petrodáin, Mochalinden, agus Philly Costal sin. So that's the country into which I was born, a country full of poets, the Oriel poets. Agus curfa me, I would be buried in Relic Regan in Craigan Graveyard in South Armagh, with the poets, the paupers, the landlords, the bankers, Protestants and Catholics, and of course there Curru and Shin Ath Bocui, agus Scríbhneoirí Dan Iontach sin ag Kilek Regan Shikadal me Rev Fivron. Is a Harry the Mania Honey Anya from a yen le Pope, the Grias Grua Gareki, agus Linear on a cave or beautiful, beautiful poem. But I'm going to read a poem which I wrote, and the background to it was this. Every year, those we call the gypsies came to settle above our house on Mylan Road. And we called them our gypsies. We didn't see them as outsiders. They weren't called travellers in those days. They were called gypsies. And we always called them our gypsies. And the reason why I want to read this poem about travellers is there's a great man who lived up on the Glen Road called Dan McCaffrey. And he had a big house up there at the bend on the Glen Road, and you had the travellers' settlement just down the road from him. And Dan was telling me about his experience of living beside the travellers. And he said that from time to time, being a builder, he always had a lot of gear lying about, wheelbarrows and that. And from time to time, he would look out and he would see that his wheelbarrow had disappeared. And he'd walk down the road into the travellers' camp and he'd say to the lads, is there any chance I get the lend of me barrow? He'd take his barrow, he'd take it up to the house, do whatever he had to do, and in a day or two, the barrow would be gone. So I remember saying to Dan, how did you cope with that, those guys coming up removing your gear all the time? And he said, listen, Emily, he said, they have to live someplace. They have to live too. And I reflected on that, because that was our attitude towards our gypsies. We didn't see them as something out beyond us. And that's what inspired this poem, Our Gypsies. We call them gypsies when we were children in Leigh-Mylan. Political correctness back then was a foreign country. Today, they are travellers. Seamus Heaney called it right, an extraness in the air, when the gypsies landed in his home place. Our gypsy friends Davy Joyce and family were a free-born people for whom time was not their master. How we loved the sight of that multicoloured caravan reach its resting place above our house. And what secrets did those green domed tarpaulin tents keep hidden in their caves of darkness. The Joyces were tinsmiths, makers of pint tins, creamery cans, master artisans who rescued many a saucepan and bucket about our house using the magic of their pot menders. Our innocence, such in those days, that we believe Davy Joyce and his son Patrick personally painted dapple grey the Longacre grazing horses. We were sad when the Joyces would pack their load and be back on the road again. Their only remaining footprint, a scorched patch of spent ashes on a grass verge. Thank you very much indeed. I write a lot of poems about my family and about my grandchildren and all of that, but I'm going to read this little poem because it's so relevant. I was watching the news again last night and it's horrendous what's going on in the world. But this is called Rory and Aileen. My little grandson is called Rory, and you'll find out who Aileen is in a moment. Rory and Aileen. My 4-year-old grandson Rory, in red t-shirt and blue shorts, raced off calling out, "Catch me, Papa, catch me!" Perching himself upon a concrete deck, he crowed, "Den, den, den!" "You are cheating, that's not den," I protested. "You made that up. Get down on the grass and we'll agree den," I urged. Arcing his legs like a dipper bobbing on a river rock, Rory dismissed me with a tilt of his head again, calling out, "Den, den, den!" All evening the image of Rory, red t-shirt, blue shorts rested on my retina, my face wreathed in smiles, "Den, den, den!" issuing from my lips like an ancient prayer. News at 10. The body of 3-year-old Aileen Curdy in red t-shirt and blue shorts, symbol of the refugee crisis, lay dead, washed up on a Turkish beach. Come wait, dear.
I want to thank Eamon for his very eloquent contribution to our evening. Thank you, Eamon. We're just going to mix it up here. I'll be just talking to a few of our writers group. There's a couple who are maybe heading towards drunkenness. So I'm going to ask Dan Gregory to come up. And Dan's going to do 2 songs. Couple, Dan. Well, Dan and Sean? Dan's. Well, tell you what, we're waiting on Dan. We'll have Maura McParlin. Maura McParlin, got in you pool bus to Maura McParlin. And we'll get him ready.
Yes, no insurance claims.
Tomorrow we have her as well, so Maura's going to come up and do her poem.
Beady-eyed robin, little bird with the broken wing, shelter, call to protect thy sing. Nest and rest, breathe, be alert, remain in the sanctuary, free from hurt. Be open to all that intervene, to assist you back to that sense of serene. Strength and patience, be still, hold tight, nurse the wound, prepare for flight. One step at a time, beady-eyed bird, remembering all that you have learned. Off you go, discreet and slow, a hop, a worm, to build, to grow. Mind, slinky cat, not so shy, rise from the hedge, fly up, rise high. Chirp, chirp, sing, sing, attend the fragile wing, a more beautiful thing.
I get more of each other joy. So I'm going to go here, Dan. The Dan go ga Orani and doing. Dan's going to do 2 songs. Have you got your guitar, Dan? Yeah. Yep. Dan's going to do 2 songs. And then you can relax after that there. So
well, I've already been relaxing a wee bit too much. That's why I have to do them now.
Myself and Don Gregory go way back to our days in the fort, where Don got a guitar and taught himself how to play it.
I'm going to sing a song about that.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, little boss Don Gregory.
Years ago, when I was in a band, somebody lent me a guitar, and I destroyed it. Not by like abusing it or anything, just simply by playing it. So I don't know. But no, this is a song about. I have some friends from other countries. Occasionally they'll say to you, oh, what was it like growing up in Belfast, during the 90s and 80s, It's really hard to define. Because you were kind of scared a lot of the time, but it was what you're used to. So, I kind of wanted to write a song that would, be the epitome of that. And I think I've nailed it, but I don't know. It's called Italian 90. And it's about an incident that happened in 1990. It's alright, eh? It'll do. Just a nipper. My dad bought me a football, it was a minor delta, so I gave the boys a call. The street, it was our pitch, the gates became our goals, and all the early ladies would shake on players, say your own doors. And that's what it was like, growing up in Belfast town. We started up a match, everything was going rightly, and in the middle of the street pulled up this motor doing about 90. I jumped 2 boyos with a rifle and a mortar and attacked the lookout post of the barracks on the corner. And that's what it was like, growing up in Belfast town. The ground, just like we had been taught. There were parents that were soldiers and alarms were going off. And as I surveyed the scene, what struck me most of all was by the time I'd stood up some hurry cunt and stole my ball. And that's what it was like, growing up in Belfast town. And that's what it was like, growing up in Belfast town. In Belfast town. Thank you.
Bill of us to Dan more, lads. That was brilliant.
Sorry about that.
I think we'll all agree that Dan was amazing, despite him forgetting a lane or 2. Amazing, Dan. Grab me the wagon. Grandma, get down. So we're going to crack on here. I know we'll have another pair of readers, and we're going to also have a couple of guests in. We'll have a couple of guest musicians who are going to intersperse some of our poetry with some of their own stuff that they've been writing themselves. So the next one I want to ask up is Linda Sullivan. Linda is going to be chairing an event for us tomorrow night at the Belfast Hill. She was at our event last night. I feel like she's in my Zoom living room every day. I've seen her more than my wife has lasted a week. So anyway, Linda is going to read a poem which is an epic poem, but I hear it's very good. So, Bill of us all award to Linda Sullivan.
Alright, it's not a poem. It's kind of like a. It's okay. It's just lowering expectations. Yeah, so it's kind of like a memoir, or it's talking about my experience when I was in Peru. I wrote it a while ago, but I felt I wanted to read it tonight, given the events both at home and in other parts of the world over the past few weeks. And I want to dedicate it to the families who lost their loved ones to state violence, from Peru to Colombia, and from Palestine to Ballymurphy. So it's called In the Name of the American Dream. So 1 year short of a decade ago, as North Americans were preparing to celebrate Independence Day and the American Dream, as they were buying in the drink and dusting off the barbecue, further south on the same landmass, also in the name of this American Dream, 4 souls were killed. A day later, as revelers watched fireworks light up the sky, another life was taken. I know these souls, not through their lives, but through their afterlives. I was not present on the day they died, but I've lived that day many times over, through the reliving of it by those who survived them. Their memories are now my memories, their pain now my pain. It was the killing that drew me to Celandine, a small rural town in the Peruvian Andes. As a freelance reporter, I was interested in conflicts caused by mining, and in 2012, the Conga Project, proposed by Colorado-based Newmont Mining, was the biggest conflict on the continent. Gold was sought at any cost, and the highest cost was paid. It was paid by Doña Santos, whose son was shot in the same plaza that held the church where she was hiding. Father Antonio had barred the doors to stop the army storming in and killing all. She prayed that Joselito was far from the shots she heard just outside the door. Her prayer went unanswered. Doña Maximila paid with the life of her eldest son, who was still a child. The blood drained from my limbs as I read the autopsy report of 16-year-old Cesar Medina Aguilar, killed by a shot to the head, from above, from a long distance. It was the helicopter. They shot him from the army helicopter brought in to keep the peace, but instead fired live bullets into the people-filled streets. Cesar's former teacher believes he was targeted. He was a school mayor and was organising the students to protest against the mine. And he was effective, charismatic and smart, responsible yet courageous, and so a target. I have sat with Doña Maximila as she wept. I saw the shattered pieces of her life, held together by Cesar after her husband died 2 years before, now desperately scattered. Who will care for her young children if she falls apart? It was like a war movie, said Jessie one day, as a group of us gathered in the Casa de Promotores to make soap. With our hands occupied, the stories flowed. Jessie told us how she had to run for cover across the plaza, ducking from every sound, trying to locate her family. Giovanna spoke of Cesar, how she knew him well, how she saw him die. She watched as he fell, and she watched as his blood spilled out over the pavement. She remembers the relief when she saw an ambulance coming down the street, but this quickly turned to horror as she saw soldiers emerge from the back of it instead of paramedics. So they wrapped Cesar in the Celandine flag they'd been carrying, and they ran. I listened to Doña Adelaida, the widow of Paulina Garcia Rojas, as she had to recount yet one more time to journalists or lawyers how her husband wasn't involved in the protests, how he'd been working in Lima and came home to visit his family just the day before, how he went out for bread and never came home. He was also shot in the head from the helicopter. Most of the journalists who interviewed her never came back, and the lawyers disappeared along with the justice they promised. No police officer nor soldier was ever held accountable for the lives they took. I saw videos of them pocketing the many spent bullets that lined the streets on the day the people of Sullivan saw their state turn against them. Doña Yenny's story stings like salt in an open wound. She had to watch as police hassled the mourners the day they buried their dead. She watched as the coffin holding her husband's body was thrown to the ground. As she cried out, the police reply, "Motherfucker, get out of here, or do you want to die like a dog too?" But they were violent dissidents, said the media, terrorists, drug lords even, tried to burn down the town hall. What wasn't reported was how the rooms near the municipal door were mysteriously cleared days before, how those that lit the fire were not previously known to locals. In the 40 days of sustained protests in the lead up to that fateful day, with each neighbourhood taking its turn to organise, no violence was used. The communities were united and strong, so they had to be stopped. Many believe it was a setup to stamp out the growing fire of resistance, to instill fear in their hearts. And it worked. The fear was always palpable in this town, the trauma raw. But the embers of that resistance could not be extinguished. It glowed bright during the many vigils that were held to honour the water martyrs. It shone down from the murals on the walls. It rang out in songs. And in the countryside, in the villages and hamlets, scattered across the mountains that outnumber the towns, it positively roared. In this David and Goliath story, the giant didn't get his cream, but in a scramble for it, many lives were torn. And in the shadows he lurks still, yet he now knows the strength of enduring dignity, surpassing even life. I carried the flag that carried Cesar's blood years later in another march to resist another mine. Cesar, Joselito, Antonio, Paulino, Faustino, you did not die, you multiplied.
I think as you all agree, it was a very, very powerful piece, and it was also great to hear a story of another place, because obviously there's an international ethos at the heart of what we're trying to do here with Glór and Thelna. Our next contributor is going to be a guest who wasn't part of the writing group. Brendan Quinn is a local musician. A lot of us here would know him in the area. A Mona stalwart. A famous hurler, also a brilliant musician, who only about 2 years ago, believe it or not, began to write his own stuff, and he's been absolutely amazing. And he's going to share two of his songs, which are on Spotify at the minute. So I wanted just to give a bull of us all award a local musician, Brendan Quinn.
I'd just like to thank Fergal for asking me down here tonight. It's been a great night so far. It's going to be a hard act to follow down here. So you are. There's a real comedy show around it. Okay, I'm going to start off with a song that I wrote during COVID. Just by talking to a lot of people. You know, a lot of people are going through a hard time, and I think everybody was feeling it. So this song's called Everyone Outside. And you can't do wrong and you can't do right, and nothing seems to shed light. It's a worried mind all the time. Something deep inside, when you got no place to hide. And to everyone outside, you're just fine. Better times in the night, when everything seems so around, the world will shine. The battlefield that lies inside, with yourself all the time. So many laws of this kind, of the broken dreams and the shattered lives. Somewhere deep inside, when you got no place to hide, and to everyone outside, you're just fine. Everything seems so right. Just hold on tight, it's alright. Look around, the world will shine. Take a walk with me and see, find the peace that you need. Just carry on through the breeze, find the one that you need. Somewhere deep inside, when you got no place to hide, everyone outside, you're just fine. Later time in the night, when everything seems so right, just hold on tight, it's alright. Look around, the world will shine. A song called Everyone I'd Save. Thanks very much. I want to continue on with a wee song I just wrote recently there. It's a song about keeping your mouth shut. So it is. Let's make sure this tuning's alright here. You get more nervous these things than when you do it a gig, wouldn't you?
You wouldn't.
Oh, you would.
As long as you don't fuck it up, it's going to stay.
Letting go of what is gone, like the apples that fall to the ground. Wrapped up words like daggers fly, are gone before we say goodbye. So get control of words that cry, a lesson learned until the end of time. Sometimes we hurt not knowing why, friends we lose with broken lines, clouds in the sky just passing by. Never thought for you and I, ships that sail in the open tide, your thoughts of mine just running wild. Silence is golden, that's what we're told. To heal the ones that we love, holding on to what we know. Feels like nothing at all. Feels like nothing at all. Today by words you said last night, an endless task, don't ask me why. Across the birth for you and I, maybe until the end of time. Clouds in the sky just passing by. Never thought for you and I. Ships that sail in the open tide. Thoughts of mine just running wild. Silence is golden, that's what we're told. To heal the ones that we love, holding on to what we know. Feels like nothing at all. Clouds in the sky just passing by. Never thought for you and I. Ships that sail in the open tide. Thoughts of mine just running wild. Silence is golden, that's what we're told. To heal the ones that we love, holding on to what we know. Feels like nothing at all. Feels like nothing at all. Got a few words there, but sure. All right, thank you. Yeah, when you're
We're going to keep this. We're going to keep a seat here for Untitled Colin McGillivan in the house. Let's see you, Colin. Build up us all more. Has been described as the grandfather of the group. I wish he would lend me some of his grandfather hair, but that hasn't happened. Virgil, or no?
Out of sight. Another Belfast out of sight. Another freezing winter's night, and it is. Huddled in a doorway beneath the blinking neon light, he rearranges cardboard and settles for the night. Out of sight, out of mind, someone else's problem, not yours, not mine. Pulls the sleeping bag over his head, praying to God he doesn't wind up dead. Curses the bottle, the pills and the crack. If only this monkey would get off his back. Out of sight, out of mind, someone else's problem, not yours, not mine. Chilled to the bone, afraid and alone, with nothing to warm him but memories of home. Just how he got here is anyone's guess. No fixed abode, now his permanent address. Out of sight, out of mind, someone else's problem, not yours, not mine. The van pulls up around about 3. Hot soup, a sandwich, polystyrene tea. With cruel and bitter irony, like the twisting of a knife, the sign above the door blinks out, Habitat for Life. Out of sight, out of mind, someone else's problem, not yours, not mine. Down in the underpass, Margaret sleeps alone. The wind is not the only thing that cuts her to the bone. The secrets she can't speak about, she carries in her head. They make the thought of going home fill her with fear and dread. Out of sight, out of mind, someone else's problem, not yours, not mine. Her arms are like a road map, her stomach all crisscrossed. She jumps at every sound she hears. She's lonely and she's lost. Out of sight, out of mind, someone else's problem, not yours, not mine. Spend the night within his head, Perhaps you'd rather wind up dead. Walk with her down memory lane, begin to understand her pain. Out of sight, out of mind, someone else's child, not yours, not mine. If it makes you angry, if it makes you want to scream, that some people live a nightmare whilst others live a dream. Ask yourself this question as you close your own front door. Is it enough to say it's someone else's problem anymore? Shanna.
Next I'm going to have up another West Belfast native, Sharon Pickering, in the house. Why, Sharon?
And I'm not sitting down up there because they're going to be writing a poem about me when I fall off it. So, no, I'm not getting up.
What was that there?
I'm going to sit here. I'm going to sit here. When I nearly run away there about 3 times there this evening. So, this here, just to give a wee bit, Scott says to give a wee bit of a background. So, basically this poem is about, I went through breast cancer 3 years ago this July. So, this picture that you see is something that was done by me and my kids and my husband on a like a residential stay when I was going through treatment, and it sits and looks at me every day when I walk down the stairs. So this is just a short poem. It's called Survivor. And bloodied hands embedded on the dark drab wall, barefoot and grounded, roots twisted in ancestral soil. Each glorious day with a new warrior call, a life to live well in memory of them all. Fantastic fucking flushes and rattlings of needy pills start every bloody day. Catch yourself on, love, I hear the wee woman say. Each glorious day with a new warrior call, a life to live for me in memory of them all. Pearls of cultured sweat and noose of what might be, thick stealing mist, blackened thoughts that daily haunt me. Each glorious day with a new warrior call, a life to live for Mo Clan in memory of them all.
That was fantastic, Sharon. I think your strategic seat might have made you avoid Facebook Live there. I'm not quite sure. No, Oren got you. No, you're gone. Right, and Kate, Phil, Ella, and Armas. I want to ask our local Sean Fitz to come up. Now, I want to just before we get Sean up, I want to give him a shout out because last night there was a very moving panel about mental health, and he was in the audience, and he got a stung on him to do a poem, and he basically did a brilliant poem at the end and wrapped us out as we finished it off. So Sean Fitz, let's have you, Sean.
Just first of all, I'd like to thank Fergal and anybody involved in Glór na Móna for giving me a space, and everybody on the group, on behalf of everybody in the group, and thank everybody who shared any of their poems and music. It was all amazing. So the first one I'll share is the one I shared last night because it was well received, and I think you probably can't say it enough in this place, to be honest. I'll let it speak for itself, I suppose. So, as I sit in silence, I contemplate political violence that I've witnessed. The north of Ireland is definitely top of the hit list for a political lobotomy of its anatomy. It's sad to see these cheerleaders, fear leaders, soul leaders lead the people astray. Whatever happened to building better days, changing old patterns and creating new ways? Not much has changed in my view. This may not be true for you, but we still got the walls, from the Shankill to the Falls, and all the other walls. It's like living in a maze. On the upside, there is a tourist craze. Stars will shine and curious minds will find a way. Stars will shine and curious minds will find a way. Wow, you give us the big balls. Victoria Square is far from fair. That only suits the minority, with the majority of the land and the money. It's not fun or even funny. There may be less bombs and less guns, but I see proof that we're losing our youth faster now than ever before, faster now than when there was war. Drugs and suicide are ripping families and communities apart. How do we heal? Where do we start? I would say invest in the people, invest in the arts. It's the quickest way to heal a heart. Invest in the skill of cooperation. I guess that's how we build a healthy nation. Stars will shine and curious minds will find a way. Stars will shine and curious minds will find a way. We the people need a non-violent revolution to find solutions to this political pollution. These institutions are rotten to the core, from post-traumatic stress, from war. It's heartbreaking, soul shaking, when I hear of another young soul taken, his or her own life with the dope, the rope, or the knife. These things could be avoided if people weren't being exploited by a broken system that's not listening. Some in power may see these things as trivial, but cooperation's needed for human survival. Stars glisten in the night, stars stand up and fight. Stars will shine and curious minds will find a way. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next one, I've only probably shared it once, but I suppose it's not just about here. It's more of a universal thing for me. And sometimes when I get into that space, it's like a vision. It's like what the world could be. But obviously, you know, we have to fight for it. Obviously, but we know that by now. And it's amazing that you're creating this space for things to happen and things are connecting to something beyond us. So, here it goes. I'm blank. Right. Wake up, mankind, to your exponential potential. For this world is not material, it is mental, immaterial, not created for imperial powers that be, that every day destroy with their power-hungry ploy to keep control of mankind and Mother Nature's soul. Some say they are the secret, the hidden, they carry the forbidden. I believe this to be lies, a bluff. These powers that be are the weak, the hurt and the tough. They need healing. I think it's time for the meek and the strong to shine with their light. Here is suffering humanity's plight. For these powers that be are just like you and me, just ordinary divine beings, just like you and me, all knowing and all seeing. They play a tougher game. They go by many names. They carry whips and cane, control the fame game, keep humanity in a mental ball and chain. But forgiveness, awareness, wisdom and knowledge is your policy, your breaker of the chains. The truth is hard to accept because before healing, the organism feels pain. The first thing you want to do is look for someone or something to blame. But playing victim, it won't serve you. Better still, it will unnerve you, distort you and disturb you. If you feel what I'm saying, please don't say I heard you. Study, learn, apply, look to the gut, the heart and the mind's eye. Dream, because every day we create reality from a standpoint of dogma and duality. We must wake to our senses, create a holistic consensus, change this modality, create a better world with equality. This universe has been infiltrated by fear. Maybe I'm wrong and it's always been here. Something we need a little of to keep our paths clear. But the truth is, need can easily turn to greed. This whole world came from a single universal seed. Though to me it still seems clear that the main tune, the main vibe we are channeling is fear. So when I'm in that space with my mind so clear, I dream of a world without fear. For I am a seer, a visionary. I see beyond the illusion, the media, the mass confusion, that we are all one. From the day it all began. Some call it the Big Bang. Each ran, we separated, divided into groups, created armies, churches and troops. But if you watch closely, you will sense that life is full of loops, cycles and hoops. So learn, yearn, try to pace. It's not a race. There is no time. There is only space. There is one great spirit which created matter. Contact with this one great spirit will have this whole system shatter. In my heart, I believe that is what we need. For this one is broken. There's too much greed. By shatter, I don't mean destroy. I mean transcend. Ahoy, ahoy.
Yes!
Thank you very much. So the next one, we'll take it back to the mountain because this is what this is all about. And I just, the whale, it's called the whale things, and the whale things for me is just where you can go and be one with this shit without all the being human. Do you know what I mean? Just going out and just losing yourself in nature. Something we're a part of, but anyway, so here it goes. I love to go where the wild things grow and the oak trees know about furry doors and ancient wars, tribal tales before the cross and the nails. I love to go where the wild things grow, Tall trees be kissing and wildcats be hissing, and there's no missing you and there's no missing me, 'cause all is one and one is free. I love to go where the wild things grow, where the bees make the honey, where there is no money, where the wild things grow. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think it's all agreed. Sean was absolutely fantastic. Pull up a salad of Sean. He's been amazing. Oh, yeah, brilliant. So, for any of the readers left in the group who think I forgot about them, you're wrong, because you're all getting the sting up here. You're all getting called up. So, because you called out there and cracked at me, I'm going to call her up. Christine Poland. It's all about finding your voice, Christine. You found your voice. Let's have you.
Okay. I feel a wee bit kind of, oh my God, like who I have to follow at this part of the night. The group was amazing. I didn't get to go to any of the second
sessions
ones, yeah. And mostly it was because of work. But I think part of it was that I was out of my depth with the poetry, and people were doing poetry for years and I wasn't. So this wee poem that I'm going to read is one that I wrote, and it was just, I hadn't slept, and there was just, my head was all over the place, and there was a reason for that, and the reason was the seagulls. So, has no one told them seagulls they're meant to be at the sea? The clue's in the name, you know. It's where they're meant to be. Instead, they're hanging around the streets of West Belfast, screeching, flapping, stealing food from anyone going past. They look stupid, flying over every food outlet, watching with their beady eyes to see what they can get. I actually don't mind them doing that, because that's not bothering me. It's when they screech around at 5 a.m. that I hate, because then they wake me, you see. It's then I want to kill the cunts. Because I've already been wakened by other runts. Runts who prowl about their house in the early hours, because they're used to falling in black when they get chucked out of the bars. They bang and crash, making lots of noise inside their own big house. I can't find the words to ask him to be as quiet as a mouse. So it's back to hating seagulls, every fucking one. It would be easy to take them out if I had a pellet gun. I just want to say, no animals or neighbours were injured in the making of this poem.
The Rose are fag, he's an absolutely Rose. And I hope when she's talking about runs, she's not talking about her beautiful daughter, who I'm not going to ask up. Chrissy, let's have you. Chrissy McFoley.
tSléibhe Carja, I have to say, I am delighted to be on this stage. We have Scríbhneoirí mocked every year for feeling the Gligany, and I can tell you there's people who couldn't vouch for me that I show up about 6 hours early, because I be buzzing and I want to help set up. But just watching people share creativity and emerged in that, I'd be so inspired. But I can't write. I can't, and I try, and I be softly encouraged to go to writing groups. But for the first time ever in my life, I had a wee bit of inspiration, and words came out of me. So I wrote this poem a while ago, and it just happens to be appropriate. So for as long as I can remember, no judgment and no lies. It keeps me company at night, exploring on it, time escapes, flies. I look to it with courage, and it back to me with promise, adventure. It's been with me all through life, and directly behind it, on a good day, you may catch the sunrise. Different seasons show its beauty, fog gently simmers down, In the rain it gets wet, but no matter what the weather, it doesn't complain, doesn't fret. Only encouragement, reflecting with a glimmer. After quarrying, after war, after murder and more, its true colour shines blue on that special day in May, upon the mighty Hatchetfield when the Gligany Gurma awake once more. Gurma.
Consider Rose or Fad, Chrissy Gurmina Moigan, good to see you tonight, and fantastic poem, Gurmina Moigan. Is Eislene still in the house? How much ago cast the or Eislene Hack? Now Eislene has a play written with 6 acts. I don't think we're going to get the play tonight, but she's going to do so. She's going to do a poem for us, I think, or maybe a piece of memoir. So, Bill bust Eislene.
So I have 2 poems because I couldn't decide. And I just want to say it's been amazing to be part of the group and really get me back into writing something that I loved for a long time and it stopped. So Garma Ugav, and also the group are kind of like my babysitter too. I have my baby at every session, so thanks for that as well. Apart from the one where you swore a lot and I had to cover his ears. But the first poem, I'm not really going to give it an introduction. I'm just going to go straight into it. So, The Black Place. We lie, merged in place, in a spell of stillness, where the longest breath meets the deepest sigh, and the blackness of the night holds our bodies. We are settled there, conjoined, drawn into the hum of our thoughts, the world merely a tiptoed hush, and the blackness an unflinching veil. The black place where our dreams made plans and burned bright until the gloom of morning, where passions made illuminated illusions of forevers and tomorrows. Then to lie alone, the twitching hours, the encompassing roar of the world, and the blackness, immeasurable fear. Fear of what night does to a lonely soul away from being, an ethereal shape, almost bodiless, in the blackness, bleeding onto rocks that line the bottom of night, smoothing them with internal reflection, nothing to do but listen, smoothing them, smoothing them, smoothing them until they glisten. In the black place, shards of light. Thanks. Okay, so I'm trying to see here. The second one is called Town, and I guess it's just about being from West Belfast and going into the town. So that's what you do. So here we go. Town. In dim yellow light, I squeeze in. If only I'd been someone thin. Mashed between a crisp eater and chatter chops. At every red light, our bodies rock. Thighs closer, I clutch my knees. Getting grosser, I feel crisp eater sneeze. I try anything to just engage my mind. Bright yellow and rust on the subway sign. It's not fresh, it's just better than a sausage bap. Taxi driver consoles front seat passenger. His first day on the job, he knows he'll be crap. The half-asleep hospital worker, dreaming deep when we land. The mummy, gotta get to Primark, can't afford the brand. The schoolgirl on the beak looks at fate with phone in hand, buzzing out of control. First blowjob last night, sore jaw, sore soul. The comedy and tragedy of Castle Street, the sting and the joy of booze. Coarse laughter until the bottle dries, until a heavily coated snooze. Then evening comes, more dim yellow skies, lights red and green, ebb and flow. The randomer who thinks, fuck it, I'll just go. Grannies own the bus stops here, their bits in hand, rushing home for their stories. Mothers rush home carrying workday worries. Couples linger on listening to each other speak. They are young, in love, and they can always drink midweek. The hoots and shouts of town, Are you giving me cheek? 5 lighters for £1. I'll knock your fucking, spare any change, gives a fag, gives a 50 bag, you can't get 20s now. Meet my dog Tyson, he's my best mate. He shares my steak, my blame, my shame. We share these streets. They hold our stories. This place called town. Some of us lost here and some found. 5 lighters for £1, all colourful, like theatre. Just a memory now. 2 meters later. A mask, our common denominator. We're all more alone than ever before. Chris Peter can't eat her crisps anymore. And Chatter chops waffle, a muffled hiss. To be mashed there again might just be bliss.
So.
Oh, the intro, yeah, mate.
Huh? Intro? So Fergal only texted me yesterday, typically. So near on time, I didn't have the time to write tunes for this time, but my Olgun Fui Scott na Scríbhneoirí Casama Bohar na tSléibhe, the mountain road, and a tune called The Galway Rambler. But just dús bháil mar bhí an iliocht fad agus gafur the screw gachtain it just dochreite. I've really enjoyed everyone's amazing writing and so many different styles, and I can't wait to see this book when it happens. Fergal. Will guitar answer, Brendan? And you have to do guitar? Yeah? Right, so Casma Ceann le Brandy and Shaw. Good to have you in here. Just a couple of jigs?
Ah, yep.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. That's what I got. So a couple of parts and a couple of jigs. My former wife and Kate Ceann.
This is very impromptu. We weren't ready for this.
Oh, well, here, you know me. Love a bit of impromptu. Oh, sorry.
You don't have a plaque handy, do you? Not me here, bro. That's back.
We're drinking help. Were you drinking Brandy's whiskey too? Brandy?
A minor August G?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Or while in Clag Island Shore, just much. Hand me my plaque. What's a plaque? Alright. All good. Oh, well, maybe yours. Got one. Sorry.
Do you want to go plug in or?
No, be
It's the first time I've been able to play with somebody in it. In a while.
Fuck. They want to hear you.
To take the stage tonight with the amount of talent that have been here, it's been absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to give you something new, and this year, as you know, marks the 40th anniversary of the 1981 hunger strike, and I thought that I would write a hunger strike song. I've actually written several. This one is written about young Kevin Lynch from North Derry in Dungiven. Kevin was a typical country lad who basically would have roamed the hills and the glens and the rivers and the streams of North Derry as a kid. He was a sportsman, he was a keen boxer. He loved playing football and he loved playing the hurl. He actually captained the Derry team that won an All-Ireland under-16 title. But as he grew older, he was harassed regularly by Crown forces, and to the point he was given the a number of severe beatings by British soldiers, and that was what made him decide it's time to fight back, and he did. The song's called The Hills of Dungiven. I was born in Otterry on the breast of the Glen Shem. As a young boy would ramble through the fields and the glens, catching stickleback fish in the river and letting them go again. Often up to all kinds of devilment, having the crack is not what life's about. I grew up with the love of the football that's glitter on her. That's how I led my life until trouble unfurled. British soldiers came to Dungiven and attempted to beat us down into the ground, harassing us, stopping us, beating shit out of us. We would not take this lying down. My comrades and I resisted ground forces, but no time at all we were thrown into cells. Beaten and tortured, I then was escorted to hell. And I found myself serving 10 years in a H-block cell. Take me back to the hills of Dungiven, on the breast of the Glen Shem, where good people are living on. Lay my body down, the place I call home. Wrap the starry flower around me, let my people take one final walk through the town with me. Show the world their love for a Dungiven song, and let the whole world know what Britain has done. So here I am in this prison hospital, a young body battered, starving and weak. I've seen 6 of my comrades dying in agony. The next one will surely be me. It's been an honor to have taken part. I've never felt so proud since I held that cup in Croke Park. Oh, take me back to the hills of Dungiven, on the breast of the Glen Shem, where good people are living on. Lay my body down in the place I call home. Wrap the starry flower around me, let my people take one final walk through the town with me. Show the world our love for a Dungiven song, and let the whole world see what Thatcher has done. Thank you. So I'm going to go from quite serious to the opposite, in fact. This song got me into a lot of trouble. Bobby Story, rest his soul, tried to blackball me over it. I used to sing about him in it, so I'm going to change the words. Don't suppose there's any relatives of Spike Murray in tonight, no? That's good, that's always a good thing. Well, this used to be the theme song of a...
Hey, this is on Facebook Live. Don't be getting us in trouble again.
Is this Facebook Live, alright?
Yeah.
Right, okay, I'll do it clean, alright? Used to be the theme song of a popular kids program till I ended up drinking a load of this here homebrew that was made by a mate of mine. We lived in very, very poor and difficult times, and you know, we had a mate that always used to make homebrew out of anything that was just going, and it just so happened that he discovered how to make a cracking homebrew from strawberry jam, which we drank one night and which had us drunk for about 3.5 days. So I'm not entirely to blame for this song, all right?
Here, Brandy, is that possible? 3.5 days?
If it's done right. All right. It's a revolutionary version of Postman Pat. Well, there's a bit of that in it, yes. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat had a black and white cat. Early in the morning, as the revolution was dawning, Pat get bound and gagged up by the Earps. Yes, everybody knows his bright red van, and everybody knows that the Earps can be quite mad. Someday, you could never be sure there'd be knock, ring, Spike Murray at your door. Not sure if he liked me anymore. Wonder will me body will be found on a far off shore. Oh, it's just not fair, said the New Ordiner. The Earps are happened everywhere. I'll put a stop to that. Move Pat to a safe spot so he can be our own way happy man. Then everybody saw a big white van, but nobody knows where the 26 million went to. Someday you could never be sure there'd be knock, ring, a big hairy face at your door. Devotion fence. Oh, he left Belfast, now he's in Armagh. He got protection from the local RA. The Earps down there are raging with no robberies to engage in. Now Pat feels he's a really happy man. I love a happy ending. Don't you? Thank you. Great. Put that cap open, is there? I'm going to finish off now with a song on a more serious note. Is there a possibility? There's a big glass of water in the corner by the door. Yeah. Could you grab it for us, please? And like I said, thanks very much for having me here tonight. I wasn't expecting this at all. But I've been asked to sing a song that I wrote some years ago about a young lady who came from Olympia in Washington. Who went on to join the International Solidarity Movement and was murdered in Palestine by members of the Israeli army. Her name was Rachel Corrie, and this is her story. Oh, by the way, I should mention this. On the day that Rachel was murdered, I'd received a message from Palestine. I was involved in Palestinian solidarity at the time, and it basically said, is there anything you can do? So being here, of course, I thought, what will I do? I contacted her parents anyway, and her mother, Cindy, was very helpful, and she gave me access to the emails that Rachel had been sending during her stay in Palestine. And as I read through them, I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll use some of her words to tell her story. Okay, so some of the words in particular in the refrain of this song are her own words that came from the last letter that she sent her parents before she was murdered. Come listen, you fine people, to a story called about young Rachel Corrie, 23 years old, from Olympia in Washington. Rachel Corrie came, a bright young girl about to learn of a world of hurt and Rachel knew atrocities were committed in her name. She knew the US government had a part in all the blame. International solidarity called her from afar to to a land of death and misery, to a place they call far. Papa, don't you worry, Mama, I'm okay. I'm over here in Palestine, and I'll be back someday. The Palestinian people are so thoughtful and so kind. I feel so guilty when I go and leave them all behind. For 7 weeks she risked her life defending people's homes, trying to break down the barriers of the Israeli no-go zones. Tom Harndall, we'll remember you. We're trying to do the same. Your pictures of the conflict told the world of your own shame. Papa, don't you worry, Mama, I'm okay. I'm over here in Palestine, and I'll be back someday. The Palestinian people are so thoughtful and so kind. I feel so guilty when I go and leave them all behind. One morning Israel's army came to Iceland to bulldoze Palestinian homes to make way for their plans. Rachel Covey pleaded, she tried to talk them round. The driver and that bulldozer mowed younger Rachel down. Papa, don't you worry, Mama, I'm okay. I'm over here in Palestine, and I'll be back someday. The Palestinian people are so thoughtful and so kind. I feel so guilty when I go and leave them all behind. I didn't know you, Rachel, but I know what you stand for. You are an inspiration to end all bloody war. I hope the world remembers you for the reasons that you died. Equality, fraternity, for liberty and pride. Equality, fraternity, for liberty and pride. Rachel Curry.